in the back of your book, you also have a traveler's profile in your appendices to fill out, and just so the travel agent knows what you like and what you don't like, and what are the benefits of filling that out before you travel?
Then I don't have to repeat myself to every person, especially if you're in a large corporation and you're working with a travel department. You're not going to get the same agent every time, so you're not going to be able to build that rapport. So if you have your profile on file with them, they're going to be able to pull up your profile, because everything is automated these days, as we well know, and they're going to be able to say, okay, I know you like this airline, here's your frequent flyer number if you have one, you like window or aisle seats, you know, this type of a hotel, not on the first floor, and they're going to know your nuances and your quirks and make your life a lot easier. Because for business travelers, you're away from home, you're away from your family, and if you're not going to get a good night's sleep, it could impact the next day. So what you want to try to do is you want to try to make your environment as comfortable as you can, so that you can be as effective as you can when you're on the road, because that's a win-win for you as well as the corporation.
And the client as well.
And the client
you're
as well.
Fresh and you're giving them what they want and what they need.
Exactly.
And, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. And you mentioned a travel mentor, and you said you wish you had one. Along the way, did you ever run into anybody that became your mentor, or are you now the mentor to other traveler businesswomen?
Good question. I am the mentor to everybody that I know. Whether it's my husband or my children or peers, I'm always the one that gets called. And it gives me great satisfaction when somebody will call me and said, I took your advice and it worked great, and I decided not to be passive, and I knew something was wrong, and I went and I got on a different flight. And so that always, you know, just gives me a smile, because I feel as if really what this book is all about is to help people. And I have become a mentor. I will continue to be a mentor in that role, and it's really fun.
Well, that's a good thing.
Fun.
Yeah, and how many times, or how much time do you spend, if you have to do it on yourself? Do you really get on the internet and start price and comparison? I guess at what point is there really no return for all the time you spend finding that right hotel price and the right rental car price and all that stuff? Yeah.
I've done it enough, Ken, that it seems that I do it very quickly, because I know which travel sites I like. I know what hotels I like. I know I'm a Hertz #1 Gold member, so I'm just going to stick with them. If you're a new traveler, I would suggest going to the major sites first, major airline sites, as well as the major travel sites, and do some checking around. Because believe it or not, there are some price differences between the major sites, and then even with the airlines, sometimes it's a little less expensive and they're not charging you a service fee. So those things come into play. And if you don't know, if you're going to a city you've never been before, I strongly encourage people to ask friends. Look on the internet to Metromix or something like that. They can give you some options on where else you want to stay. Because to me, a recommendation is worth its weight in gold.
And what are some of the tips of the different programs? You mentioned was it Avis or Hertz, the Hertz program that you're in. What are some of the other programs or perks that the frequent traveler ought to be taking advantage of, you know, with the airlines or whoever?
Well, there's a couple of them. And the airlines, you certainly should become a member of their frequent flyer program. That they have a number of ways to get extra miles. And you know, it's funny because a lot of us have all these miles that are sitting in a bank, because the last thing we want to do is get on an airplane. We have a vacation. So we use them for upgrades and things of that nature, which are really important, because you know, you've heard the word cattle car. And the way that the industry is going, the airline industry is going, they're taking away all your perks these days. So if you can use your miles to upgrade to first class or to business class, I highly recommend it. It will make your trip that much better. And then also on the frequent stay programs, there's hotels, whether it be Marriott, Hilton, all of them have frequent stay programs, and that you can earn points and get free hotel nights, which is nice that if you don't even want to go away on a trip, or if you're traveling, not on an airline, but of course driving or something like that, on a family vacation, you can all stay in a hotel, maybe get 2 hotels if you're traveling with the kids, because you don't want to cram all into one, and it can just make it that much easier. And so all those nights away, it becomes a benefit to you, where you're able to use those. And then on the car rental, there are gold status, where you will be able to get off the plane. You make a reservation, so they'll again have your profile. They won't even ask you for a credit card. When you get to the kiosk at the airport, it will have your name and what car number you have, and you just go straight to the car and get in the car and leave. And when you're on the road a lot, time is precious, and you don't want to spend a lot of time in the airports. So those are the, I highly recommend that. Oh, and one other thing, a lot of the airlines have clubs. You have the Red Carpet Club with United, you have the Crown Room with Delta. American has its own club as well. If you're on the road a lot, and because we have to get to the airport so early these days, and you're spending a lot of time in the terminal, it is worth your time sometimes to sit in these clubs. You can get food, there's drink, not the best food in the world, but you can at least get something to eat, something to drink, there's internet access, and it's just a little more comfortable sitting in that area as it is to sitting out by the gate. So I would strongly recommend that. And I would also say, if you're traveling with your boss or a colleague or a superior and you have a number where you can get into the Red Carpet Club and they don't, please bring them along. That's a good helping hand.
Yeah, a little brownie points never hurt.
Exactly, exactly, never.
And for the non-frequent traveler or flyer, is it ever possible for us to upgrade or to see if we can bump up, or is there a cost to that, or how do you try to take advantage of these things?
For the non-frequent flyer, there is a cost. There is a lot of the airlines now, it's all about revenue generation, right? And so a lot of them are giving people the options for $25 or $100 to upgrade to business or first class. And it's a first come, first served basis. I would strongly, I have a rule within myself that if it's over 2-hour flight, then I'll upgrade, otherwise I won't really care. And so I would say go ahead and upgrade. The other thing you might want to do, if you're flying with United or flying with someone that has a premier section, which gives you more leg room, ask to see if there's seats in the premier section. Even though you are not a member of the frequent flyer program or you're not at that right status, sometimes there's seats available and you can get those seats and it's much more comfortable for you and you're not in the back of the bus or in the back of the plane, and it'd be a better trip for you. And if you didn't know to ask that, you never would have known and you never would have gotten the upgrade. And it's the same thing with hotels. It's amazing how often you can get upgraded in a suite or a junior suite or a superior room if you just ask.
It's available, might as well use it.
By all means.
Yeah. And
they won't charge you, and if you ask nicely, great things can happen.
And for the 6'5" traveler, I've learned the bulkhead and the front of the rows, you know, in class, you got a little more leg room there.
Right.
What other kind of advice do you, not by the bathroom or what else?
Certainly not by the bathroom, certainly not by the kitchen. The exit rows are always somewhere that has an awful lot of room as well, especially for the 6'5" traveler. You're probably going to want a aisle seat as opposed to a middle or a window seat if you're bigger and taller. And I would definitely stay away from what we just talked about. Do you have a preference?
I like the aisle, I like the bulkhead, and I like the exit row over the wings.
Over the wings?
Anything for that extra 2 or 3 inches by my knees, so they're not plastered in the seat, especially when it comes back. It's not good.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. And I also think that you can tell a business traveler from a leisure traveler by how far back the seat goes. Because a business traveler it just gets irked when it goes all the way back. We will take it back just a little bit because we're very cognizant of the person behind us, because we've been that person one time too many. And so you just move it back a little bit, and people will think you've been doing this forever.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That would be nice, exactly.
I mean, you mentioned a story at the beginning of the show about getting to a hotel and you ended up having to go to a different one, but that was just because they were out of space. When do you actually choose to go to a different hotel and take the time, or to switch rooms? Are there things that aren't acceptable in a room that you look elsewhere?
Good question. I have changed hotel rooms more times than I care to admit, I'm afraid. I will walk into a room and right away scope it out. I will scope it out from a safety standpoint and also from a comfort standpoint. From a safety standpoint, I will look under the bed, I'll look in the shower, I'll look in the closets, and I will also make sure that the doors close all the way and that the locks are secure, and if there are windows, that they have good locks on the windows. So if any of those don't work, I'm out of that room. I will also make sure that the phone works.